Ladies and gentlemen of the media, I want to welcome you to this month's press conference. And I will like to address two matters, or I should say matters of a primarily economic nature. In fact, if today's press conference were to have a theme, I would say it is themed Investor Confidence in St. Kitts-Nevis is Strong, or it can also be themed International Institutions underscore Wisdom of St. Kitts-Nevis Economic Policies. However, I would want to start with some specifics. Firstly, let us look at how we have been fighting the global crisis. And in doing so, I wish to emphasize that this government in recent years has put carefully crafted policies in place to resist the downward pull of the global crisis. And we repeatedly explained that the benefits of these policies would become quite evident in 2013. The IMF just this morning, in reporting to the Joint Cabinet, the federal government and the NIA, it has reported and has confirmed and has been saying in various ways and on several occasions that this is indeed the case. I would also emphasize that in a meeting with the IMF just 2 days ago, they were sharing specifically their projections that growth in St. Kitts-Nevis in 2013 would be somewhere around 2%. Looking at taxes, I emphasize as well that taxes are important to all governments. We have nonetheless been quite vigilant in our own attempts to ensure that the taxes we levy relative to the country's GDP would not be excessive. I concede that no one, nowhere, likes paying taxes. But that having been said, the IMF, as a result of its review of our own tax policy, has concluded that relative to our GDP, St. Kitts-Nevis is indeed, as we have intended, not within the excessive bounds where our tax policy is concerned, and that we are very much within the acceptable or average tax range. Looking further at manufacturing, again, I say that we have long led the OECS, including Barbados, in manufacturing exports to the US. We would like to maintain this edge, because what this means for our factories and those who are employed there, it really means much for us. And so we have further intensified our efforts to expedite our manufacturers' duty-free access to the Brazilian market. Technicians from St. Kitts-Nevis and Brazil, they are currently working out the details of the partial scope agreement, and we expect them to have completed the process by the end of June. In fact, a moment ago, the Cabinet, in concluding today's meeting, considered 3 important submissions pertaining to manufacturing. One has to do with ensuring that the Electrofab company, which for several years has been experiencing some difficulties, Cabinet has made a number of recommendations that should ensure its continuity as a manufacturing plant here in St. Kitts-Nevis. We also have looked at the company in Sandy Point, providing yet another concessionary support for its continued activity as a manufacturing entity over the next 10 years. Manufacturing in St. Kitts-Nevis' economy is important to us. All of this has been done, as you would know, with the aim of boosting our manufactured exports by some 60% and making the Federation even more attractive to our manufacturers. Speaking of investor confidence, the international financial institutions, as you know, have been quite clear in their positions that investor confidence in St. Kitts-Nevis remains strong. And the facts bear that out. Foreign investors, with the whole world available to them as investment possibilities, continue to choose our Federation of St. Kitts-Nevis, as a place in which to invest, as the solid list of investment projects that have come to the Federation makes clear. In addition, however, local investors who are bombarded all day, every day, with the negative propaganda that comes across some airwaves, have clearly been tuning that out, taking a hard-nosed look at this government's policies and its programs, the overall trajectory of our country, and the quality of management at the helm of our Federation. And with great regularity, they are choosing to invest their capital by the tens of millions of dollars right here in our Federation. You know about Golden Rock Commercial Park. You must be aware of Imperial Bay. And I assume that you are by now aware, for example, that just on Monday gone, Pelican Bay Development, a US $89 million hotel condominium project in which Contact has a stake, got eventually underway. My government has been extraordinarily meticulous in the development of our investment promotion strategy. And we are pleased to see that, to the benefit of Kittitians and Nevisians, they are bearing succulent fruits. Looking at debt, where are we? St. Kitts-Nevis, as you know, has been very effective at reducing our debt. And our approach has indeed been heralded as a possible debt reduction model for other nations. Related to this assessment, I think, is the fact that the Commonwealth has now established a high-level mission on small states' debt. This is a very important move in light of the severe difficulties that debt imposes on states of all sizes, but especially small states. In light of what we have been able to accomplish here in St. Kitts-Nevis, the Commonwealth has invited me to chair its high-level mission on debt, and I have accepted with humility. And now to the issue of political venality. Some days ago, a claim appeared on the SKN list, which indicated that it had been posted by one called Clecton Phillip. This so-called story did not indicate that it had come from any news outlet. It was supposedly, and I stress supposedly, written by someone with a foreign-sounding name who provided no organization affiliation whatsoever. And so it could have been written right here in our Federation. Most importantly, it placed our country in a horrific, abominable light. I want to say that this is the age of the Internet, and the Internet is forever. The thought that any Kittitian, any meaningful Kittitian or Nevisian, would place on the internet a story like this about the land of their birth is absolutely horrifying. And the fact that a certain well-established media outlet would air this totally unsubstantiated, uncorroborated story as a news item is revolting beyond belief, because it is not Denzel Douglas who has been made an object of international ridicule and contempt. It is not the St. Kitts-Nevis Labour Party that has been rendered lower than the roaches themselves. It is this gem of a country in which there are no political prisoners, a gem of a country in which free and fair elections take place, the gem of a country where 98% literacy is in existence, a country that is completely respected for its human rights and freedoms, a country where debt is down, a country where crime is down, a country where visitor assessments are high, a country where there are surpluses in our budget, $1 billion in investments, $1 billion in investments, a country that has been boasting of its exquisite beauty, gorgeous climate. It is the country I just described that has been smeared by grasping, myopic individuals groping in the dark. In their own strategic desperation to win support, they have used the internet to tell the world that St. Kitts-Nevis is a depraved, destitute, and deplorable dump. But it is not so at all. And the crisp hypocrisy and ethical venality of the well-established media outlet, which gave wide and detailed coverage to this totally unsubstantiated, totally uncorroborated story as a news item, followed by a closing sentence that they were unable to locate the source. It stinks to the high heavens. They should be utterly ashamed of themselves, not only as journalists, but as human beings, because as this story races around the world via the internet, it does not damage me. It does not damage my party, but it does make our little country the focus of shock and scorn, laughter and ridicule. And this piece circles the globe, caught forever now in the heartless laugh track of the internet. But to end where I started, investor confidence remains strong. Strong in St. Kitts and Nevis, strong in your country, strong in my country as well. The country's metrics, they are positive. The country's trajectory is upward, unstoppable and upward. And this government chosen by the people, it is delivering what it has been elected to do. Ladies and gentlemen of the media, I want to thank you. And so I shall now, of course, entertain your questions.